Welcome, all my fellow Aquanaut friends from all over the world. Coming to you from the middle of the Pacific Ocean, from the most beautiful islands in the world, Hawaii. My name is Captain John, and this is Think Ocean. Aloha, and welcome to the state of coral here in Hawaii. It's October 2021. And what we're going to do in this film and all films in the future is we're going to follow specific coral heads out on the reef that I've logged and named. We have two sites, dive site Hotel Romeo and dive site Kilo Papa. And we're going to look at those mothers. We're going to look at the little babies that I've logged, the juvenile corals, and we're going to take a look at them, and then we're going to come back in spring and we're going to follow up this video and we're going to see how they're doing. I'm calling it Following Coral. So we're going to follow some coral heads out there on two reefs here in Kona, Hawaii. And to bring you up to date here in October 2021 on the state of coral here in Hawaii, please go see my other two videos on this YouTube channel entitled The State of Coral Part 1 and Part 2, and I explain the struggles of coral and the coral bleaching that happened here in Hawaii, especially back in 2015, and then we had another coral bleaching event in 2018. Okay, so before we head down to the beach and check out the corals that we're going to start following, I'd like to show you two examples of how residulant coral really is. I have some videos of specific coral heads that I shot 2 years ago, and these corals seemed like they were on the verge of death, if not completely dead. And now 2 years later, they're alive, thriving, and strong as ever. I'm really amazed at how residulant coral is. I'm learning a lot. I hope you're learning a lot. Let's check out this clip. The types of corals that I'm talking about in this film, and the ones that are most affected by the two bleaching events, are the types genus Poecilopora corals. This is a mooring rope that goes all the way down to 70 feet. And as you can see, the attached corals that are dead along the way. These two corals at the end I named Maddie and Mackenzie, and they survived the mass bleaching event. That was back in 2018, and now, 3 years later, healthy Poecilopora corals have emerged out of the dead ones, almost as if they were in some sort of hibernation state. The ocean never ceases to amaze me, and I hope you as well. Now, these yellow corals are encrusting corals, and they were not affected by the coral bleaching events that mostly affected the Poecilopora corals. And these two corals, Maddie and Mackenzie, are the true survivors and have been on this mooring rope for 10 years and are now the coral matriarchs of the reef system below. This is coralhead Gabrielle, and as you can see, she's starting to bleach out on the lower left side of her coral head. Then, miraculously, out of nowhere, she put on a battle scar, healed up, and is thriving well. Welcome everybody to dive site Hotel Romeo here on the beautiful Kona coast of Hawaii. This dive site lies adjacent to and just outside of a very famous small boat harbor that's known for its big game fishing. Now this dive site occupies a lot of area, and in this section I'm going to show you the only 12 living mothers that survived the mass coral bleaching events that occurred here in 2015 and in 2018. Then we're going to take a little bit of a closer look at the reef and observe firsthand its struggles to survive and proliferate into the future. Some beautiful coral heads to be sure, but unfortunately most of the reef looks like this. Dead coral heads strewn out all over the place, as can be seen here, underneath the first mooring ball that contains coral head piper. These young juvenile corals, as of October 2021, are really struggling to survive. You can see here that they're bleaching out. These corals, these small ones, are only 1 to 2 years old. Of these two bleached corals, the one on the left is less than 1 year old. But there is some success on the reef, as we'll see in this next section of young, living, and healthy corals. Here is a piece of coral from 2 years ago, and here is what it looks like today. This is a beautiful piece of small coral in only less than 10 feet of water. And even though out on the reef it is a 50-50 survival rate at this time of the young corals, they are all surrounded by victims of the last two large-scale bleaching events here in Hawaii. Now let's head to Site Kilo Papa, where the struggles of coral and their survival are completely different. Mother Ocean does not relinquish her true self upon you until you have paid some dues. Nothing at sea is easy, but over time you'll find that she will become your most trusted companion. My name is Captain John, and this is Think Ocean. This is Kilo Papa, only 20 miles away from Hotel Romeo, and the difference is that young juvenile corals in this bay are healthy and growing. None are bleaching out. I know what you're saying. Dive site Hotel Romeo sits outside of a harbor, and that could possibly be the cause for polluting the area and causing the corals to struggle in their survival. However, Kilo Papa sits at the bottom of a neighborhood, along a very steep hill, and all the household pollutants flow into the bay, like car oil, household cleaning products, paints and solvents, and each house has a leaking septic tank system, and the bay is also used heavily by the residents. So in my opinion, each site is equal in its human usage and possible cause of pollutants that are causing the corals to struggle to survive. This bay has only 5 mothers, starting here with the very first coral that I observed, Mariah. Along the southern wall of the bay, I noticed my first set of juvenile corals. These here are 3 to 4 years old, and they sit in only 5 feet of water. Here are 2 of the same species of coral, both with different colors. The colors come from the beneficial algae the coral allows to reside within it. And the way to see if coral is healthy or not is to see if it has any color to it, other than white. These corals on this boulder out in the middle of the bay are only 6 months to 2 years old. And you can see on the 2 smaller ones on the left how they excrete calcium carbonate to attach to the bottom of the sea.